Aaron Judge launched his 62nd home run of the season last night against the Rangers, breaking Roger Maris's single-season American League record. What an accomplishment, GP.
An incredible accomplishment. You know, he's having one of the best seasons in Major League Baseball history, even if he is well short of Barry Bonds' official single-season home run record. Like, we've been playing American League Baseball since 1901, and nobody's ever hit 62 in that league before. And it's not just that Aaron Judge has set American League record for home runs. It's that, you know, he's been great in a lot of different areas. He's first in runs batted in, second in batting average, first in on-base percentage, slugging percentage, OPS, wins above replacement. He has had literally one of the best seasons in Major League Baseball history. And to watch him finally get that moment last night, it had been a while, and we were starting to wonder, like, is he actually going to get past Roger Maris? To get that done in the top of the first inning last night, second game of a doubleheader, just a really great moment for baseball, because unlike the moments where the other guys, Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, have hit more home runs in a single season than this, there are no whispers or hints that there's anything goofy going on here. It's pretty well established that those guys use performance-enhancing drugs. Aaron Judge has never been accused of any of that. He's a massive man, 6'7", 280, but this seems to be, at least on a surface level, a clean baseball record and one that should be celebrated.
So you touched on it right there. I'm going to go in a little bit of a different direction. Will there be a point in time where we actually say, all right, this is actually the home run record?
I don't think so, because it is tainted, undeniably, but Barry Bonds did hit 73 home runs in a single season. Like, that happened, and we all watched that, and it was a season in which Barry Bonds looked like the most dominant hitter we've ever seen. Certainly we've ever seen in my lifetime or your lifetime. And I know that people will discount it. It's the reason Barry Bonds still is not in Cooperstown. But for all intents and purposes, that is the record. And I think that'll perhaps forever be the record. But if you want to, operate in that gray area and try to talk about it in those ways, if you go so far as to say Aaron Judge just had the first clean 62 home run season in Major League Baseball, while acknowledging there's no way to know that for sure. But if you want to say that and hold on to it, I guess I can nod in agreement.
The Braves beat the Marlins last night to clinch the National League East. An epic meltdown from your Mets, buddy.
It was a meltdown over the weekend. You go to Truist Park for a 3-game series with Jacob deGrom, Max Scherzer, and Chris Bassett set to go. And really all they needed to do was win one of those three. They lost all three, which means they lost the season series, which means they lost possession of the tiebreaker. And so the Braves, last night clinch their 5th straight National League East title. But really, this is more, the Mets finishing second, the Braves finishing first, is more about the Braves than the Mets. I think everybody's gotten their Mets jokes off the past few days, and I get it. It's fine. But the Mets did not collapse. This is still a 100-win team. They won 100 games for only the 4th time in franchise history. The Mets have been good all season long. It's just the Braves got exceptional, mostly after they called up Michael Harris, who's probably about to be the National League Rookie of the Year. They have played, they're past 101 games at a winning percentage of above 70%. I mean, the truth is the Mets didn't collapse as much as the Mets happened to play in a division with the reigning World Series champions who had a slightly greater season. But now we'll just turn our attention to the postseason.
Yes.
And hope that maybe, just maybe, the Mets and Braves can meet once again.
So the wild card matchup is set for the Mets. They'll take on the Padres in a best-of-3 series starting Friday. How do you like the Mets' chances going into this?
Better than if they were going to Atlanta. I'll tell you that. Listen, when you can go with those two guys in Game 1 and Game 2, you probably shouldn't get to a Game 3. I hope they don't get to a Game 3. I'm assuming deGrom goes Friday night, Max Scherzer goes on Saturday night, and it's a best-of-3 series with all 3 games, if you need 3 games, being played at Citi Field. It should be an incredible atmosphere. If deGrom is what he normally is, and Scherzer is what he normally is, then I would assume that the Mets can get out of this in 2 games, at most, obviously, 3 games. My prediction is that the Mets are going to advance to play the Dodgers in the NLDS, but I've been wrong about Mets stuff before.
I do get it now. Like in the summer when we filled in on this show and they had like a 6-game lead, I was like, Gary, it feels like you're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. Now I get it, because the other shoe just dropped.
It almost always does drop, and it's incredible how badly it dropped over the weekend at Truist Park. Like I tweeted on Sunday night, this has been the worst weekend of my entire life. And that's obviously not true. Broadly speaking, I had a pretty good weekend. But to watch your team just throw it away like that is pretty demoralizing.
Okay. Gary, kind of a mixed bag for Russell Wilson to start the season. What's your assessment of Wilson in Denver thus far?
It's not good. I mean, I don't think that takes expert analysis. He has not been good after signing this incredible contract after getting traded from Seattle to Denver. He's 16th in the NFL in passing yards per game, 21st in QBR. He's completing a career-low 61.1% of his pass attempts. I'm not saying he can't be good in Denver. I'm just saying he hasn't been good in Denver, which isn't that surprising to some people. Russell Wilson's now 33 years old, and there was some thought in some circles heading into this season that he's not the same guy anymore, particularly with his legs. He ran for a career-low yards last season in Seattle, and that's been a little on the decline in recent years. And so peak prime Super Bowl winning Russell Wilson, that's a guy who could beat you with his arm or with his legs. This version of Russell Wilson looks like he can only beat you with his arm, not really his legs, and he's not beating anybody with his arm right now. Now, that doesn't mean he won't come out, play, and be awesome in Thursday Night Football, but through this early part of the season, he's been very mediocre.
All right, Nathaniel Hackett's been a little overmatched as the head coach as well.
At least at the end of that first game.
Sounds like quarterback for the Cowboys, Dak Prescott, won't be back this weekend. His owner, Jerry Jones, said Dak is still having trouble gripping the football with that thumb injury. No real reason, though, to rush Dak back here, Gary, right?
No. I mean, they're 3-0 with Cooper Rush. And, I would argue there's no real reason to rush your franchise quarterback back in the middle of a season, no matter what. But when his backup is literally 3-0 and playing well, you can take your time with this. The Cowboys have said on the record they want Dak to get a full week of practice before he plays. Obviously, at this point in this week, that's impossible to get in advance of Sunday's game. So barring a shock, he's not going to play in that game. The best case scenario would be he comes back a week later, but you have to start to wonder, what is the best case scenario? Because you could get to this interesting spot in Dallas where Cooper Rush remains undefeated, Dak Prescott is back healthy and ready to go, and I guess they're probably not going to have to make a decision on that. You just go back to Dak Prescott. But if Dak Prescott comes back after Cooper Rush was undefeated and then loses a game, doesn't look good, you're going to have some real interesting conversations, at least on talk radio in Dallas.
And we love that. It's no better team to have that type of situation. On to the NBA, where we got the highly anticipated return of Zion Williamson to a basketball court last night. Awesome to see him back out there, Gary, last night. How good can Zion and the Pelicans be this year?
I think they can be really good. They're a little off the radar because in the West, you end up talking a lot about the Suns and the Warriors and the Clippers and the Lakers and the Grizzlies. But the Pelicans, you look, if they're healthy, they've got Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, C.J. McCollum, Jonas Valanciunas, Herb Jones, who was terrific as a rookie last season. That's some real talented pieces. And so I think New Orleans could very easily be one of those teams that goes from not competing for anything to competing for everything very quickly, because Zion didn't play at all last season. He has been banged up much of his professional career to date, but when healthy, he is awesome. When healthy, he was an all-star in his second year in the league, and if he is healthy this season and he was efficient and overwhelming in places in that first preseason game, if he's ready to go and stays on the court, I wouldn't be surprised if the Pelicans compete for the Western Conference title.
Welcome back. Time to shine. Some news you can use on a Wednesday. Gary, we got to see the first glimpse of Jalen Brunson in a Knicks uniform last night. What did you think of his performance?
Looked really good. He was 7-9 from the field, 16 points in 20 minutes, 5 assists, 2 threes. Did everything you watched him do in Dallas that led him to a place where the Knicks were willing to give him a $104 million contract. Now, I'm not certain he'll ever live up to that contract. Keep in mind, this is somebody who still has never been an NBA All-Star. But it is worth noting, Jalen Brunson has been proving people wrong and winning at a high level basically his entire life. He was a National Player of the Year at Villanova, 2-time national champion, still drafted pretty low relative to his ability and accomplishments. proves everybody wrong, gets this big contract. I don't know if he'll be the star point guard that New York franchise has forever wanted, but he's really good, and he looked great last night.
Pretty awesome showcase of young talent last night with projected top NBA draft picks Victor Wembanyama and Scoot Henderson facing off. Gary, this was special to watch.
Absolutely. I mean, it is not often, in the month of October that we get the likely number 1 and number 2 picks of the next NBA draft playing against each other. But that is what we had last night. And though Scoot Henderson was tremendous and looked like somebody who could be in a different year the number 1 pick, what Victor did was just absolutely outrageous. 37 points in his first ever game in the United States. He made 7 3-pointers and blocked 5 shots. Just to help anybody understand how completely ridiculous that is, we've been playing in the NBA for a long time. Literally only one person in the history of the NBA has ever had 7 threes and 5 blocks in a game. And it was Danny Green, and it happened in a triple overtime game. Victor did this in regulation. He's 7'4", real rim protector, can obviously stroke it from the perimeter. He's a generational talent. It's not an exaggeration to say we've never seen anybody like this guy.
Very cool. Some news you can use from Major League Baseball, where Justin Verlander went 5 no-hit innings, striking out 10 against the Phillies last night. He has to be the AL Cy Young winner, right?
No doubt. 1.75 ERA at the age of 39. He's the second oldest pitcher to ever lead the majors in ERA. Second only to Roger Clemens. He's first in ERA this season, second in wins, and he's doing it for an Astros team that looked very capable of winning the World Series. He had 5 straight years in Detroit where he had an ERA above 3. It looked like he might be, on the downside of his career, and yet here he is in Houston. He's totally rejuvenated his career, and he's about to become just the 11th pitcher in Major League history to win at least 3 Cy Young Awards.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell for more videos.